Welcome back to Stormy's progress series, Making a Barrel Horse. This was a slow week in our progress series because she ended up pulling a shoe on Tuesday, so I didn't ride her after that until I got my shoe put back on Friday. But I started the week thinking that I would work some poles to do something different with her in the arena. She was a little bit fired up about them, so I didn't actually end up working the poles. I decided to work on some one-handed control and just getting her to relax and stay at one even pace. So basically what I did was I worked through the poles just like I would the line drill if I had the barrels set up, but instead of 3 barrels, we have 6 poles. Obviously, this is a lot more challenging and requires a lot more control on her end because the poles are set a lot closer than I would have the barrels set up in the line drill. But it was a good challenge and got her slowed down and thinking and listening to me. And I am basically trying to work through the whole drill just with one hand. So I'm asking her to come in and turn with just one hand and then straighten out and go to the next pole with one hand and then come back in and do my circle around that pole again. And I like to work all the way down one direction and then I worked all the way back up before I switched directions. I worked through the poles first at a trot before I asked to do a lope. And as always, I started going to the right first before switching to the left. So after I go around this pole, I am going to come up to the end pole and I am going to circle it twice or 1.5 times before I ask her to stop and pick up the left lead, and then we start working through the poles all the way to the left. And again, I am just starting off one-handed right away, so I ask her to pick up her lead and I go right to one hand and ask her to come right in and go around that pole and then move out and head to the next one, come right back in and circle around that one. You can see how much quicker she has settled in this direction than she did starting off to the right. Her body is following her nose. She's keeping that hip up underneath her really nicely. She is moving off away from the pole really nicely and then coming back in and settling right into that line around that pole. And you can just see how much more relaxed she is now. So this is a good example of adapting your ride for how your horse is feeling that day. I started off thinking that I would work the poles for something different for her and ended up having to slow things down and do something a little bit different. And that is perfectly fine. So I think the lesson here is that you need to listen to your horse. They aren't machines, and we have to adapt to what is best for them and what they need for that day. Now that I have worked down and back both directions, I will call it quits for this ride. So I just come up to this end pole and I circle around it and I make sure that I don't let her quit until she is relaxed and waiting for me. She kind of took a little bit of a quick step there and felt like she wanted to leave before I said she did. So I went around again before letting her stop and back her up, and that's it.